Austin mother effing Reaves, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'm not sure how the week can get better for the guy. Dropping 51 points, a career high for himself. Following that up by dropping 41 points. Now turning around to drop 28 points and 16 assists, tying a career high for himself with the assists. Oh, and not to mention a game-winning shot at the buzzer to win the game. Yeah, I'd say it's been a pretty good week for him. Definitely a good week for their team, pretty much entirely from Austin Reaves and what he's been able to do for them, now leading them to a positive record of 3-2 without LeBron James and Luka Doncic. It's been pretty damn impressive. Not even that, but then when you factor in that they're playing without nearly 80% of their team's payroll, missing the $52 million that LeBron's making, the $46 million that Luka Doncic is making, even the $23 million between Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber. Yeah, they're playing without a lot of their team's payroll, a lot of their team's salary cap, and simply a lot of their rotation that's not been available. I mean, they had 8 of their actual rotation available tonight, missing everyone from LeBron, Luka Doncic, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, even Marcus Smart and Adu Thero. They're missing a good chunk of their team and still finding a way to win. I mean, for comparison, that would be like the T-Wolves tonight, their opponent, missing Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, and Jaden McDaniels. So yeah, definitely a pretty big thing to overcome for them, not only from a payroll standpoint, but simply an availability and a ball handling and playmaking standpoint too. I mean, at this point, Austin Reaves is pretty much their lone ball handler and playmaker available for them. That's why he had 16 assists tonight. He pretty much was their de facto point guard and pretty much the de facto guy to run plays around, and he still found a way to be effective, even with all defensive team member Jaden McDaniels guarding him, not to mention picking him up full court, not to mention the T-Wolves defense throwing everything at him but the kitchen sink. Yeah, it was pretty darn impressive and a lot of props to Austin Reaves. I mean, the fact of what he did tonight, what he's done their past 3 games, not only that, but leading the entire NBA in scoring right now, averaging 35.8 points per game. Even to go with that, nearly 10 assists per game after this game tonight. In fact, it probably will be about 10.5 to 11 assists per game. He's been simply outstanding. However, I can't forget to mention the guys that helped him out tonight, as he definitely did get some help. He didn't have to drop 51 tonight, thankfully. In fact, even with 28 points, he only led their team in scoring by 1 point. As after him, Jake the Ravia dropped 27 points, shooting an absolutely terrific 10 of 11 from the field, knocking down 5 3-point shots, of which he went 5 of 6 from the 3-point line, chipping in 8 rebounds to go with it, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and being +3 overall. Definitely a great game for Jake the Ravia. Definitely his best game as a Laker thus far. Very efficient, playing well on both ends of the court. A really solid and quiet contributor lately that absolutely broke out in their game tonight, which they needed every little bit of to win this game too. So great game for Jake the Ravia, obviously great game for Austin, but even a very good game for DeAndre Ayton, who has quietly become very consistent for their team, dropping a 17-point, 10-rebound double-double, adding in 1 steal, 1 block, and shooting a very efficient 8 of 11 from the field. Great game for DeAndre Ayton, again has become quietly consistent for them and really a guy to rely on after Austin Reaves, so very impressive for DeAndre Ayton, and I hope to see more of this from him going forward too. And after him, Rui Hachimura continues to be efficient, dropping 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and playing some pretty important minutes down the stretch for them, per usual. Great game for Hachimura, good game for Jared Vanderbilt, who also started for their team tonight. No, not dropping many points, per usual, only dropping 3 points on 1 of 3 from the field, but he grabbed 12 rebounds, a team high for them, dropping 4 assists, 1 steal, being a +4 overall in the game, and definitely making his impact felt, especially on defense, per usual. And then even off the bench, they got a really good game from Dalton Knecht, which I'm kind of surprised to say that, but very happy to say that too. After being a no-show lately, not really making an impact in literally half a year now, Dalton Knecht came off the bench to drop 15 points, knocking down a 3-point shot, but more impressively going 7 of 12 from the field, actually playing some pretty good defense, having 1 steal and 2 blocks to show for it, and playing some very important minutes for them down the stretch, even finishing this game for them, and probably getting a major confidence boost while doing it too. So overall, great team win. Obviously an insane game from Austin Reaves, again, dropping 28 and 16, hitting the game-winning shot, pushing the Lakers to a positive winning 3-2 record, and really giving them some great momentum as Luka Doncic nears the return. So with all of that in mind here, what do you guys think about it? How do you feel about Austin Reaves lately? How how do you feel about the game tonight, and what the Lakers have been able to overcome despite playing without a large chunk of their team's payroll. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But with that being said, I'll let you hear from JJ Redick and the team about their win tonight.
Austin, it's not your first buzzer beater, but for the Lakers, but just considering all the circumstances and the week that you've had and everything that's kind of been on the shoulders, your teammates, how does all of that hit you after you saw the ball go up in the air?
That one felt good. I mean, for obvious reasons, we won, but last time we were in this building, I had a shot to tie it in the corner in the playoffs with Game 4 and missed. Let me tell you, that feeling sucks. And we had a comfortable lead in the fourth. I wouldn't say comfortable. Nothing's comfortable in the NBA anymore. But we had a lead in the fourth, and they did a good job getting back into it. Take the lead with 10 seconds to go, and it's easy not to. It's easy to be down on yourself and frustrated. There were some plays in the fourth that I wish I didn't make and that I made, a couple turnovers, and just to have that opportunity to get us a big road win, obviously with a lot of people hurt, it's special, but like I said out there, we wouldn't have been in that position if it wasn't for everybody that chipped in tonight. Jake was monstrous. I think that's the best basketball game I've seen him play since he's been in the league, but you could go down the list. It wasn't just him, and even though I struggled offensively, putting the ball in the basket, we didn't let that frustrate us. They kept hooping and kept encouraging me to go do what I do. It's not, I wouldn't say it's, physically it's a little more, but, I'm always mentally trying to figure out how I can help with them too and without them too. So it's definitely different in the sense of, how I have to play and how I have to, conduct myself. I can't get frustrated. Because at that time everybody's looking at me, and in those situations you have to be calm, be confident, and lead your guys through. Like I said, they had we were up I think 10 or so, and they went on a run, and it's not hard to kind of crumble in those situations, but you got to keep the energy high, you got to keep the spirit high, and but saying all that,
emotions like where build a big lead despite being shorthanded. They get all the way, they cut it all the way down, get ahead with the Randall bucket, and then you got to find a way to, get your guys a shot in those final seconds. How do you go up and down there?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It wasn't much of an emotional roller coaster for me. I don't think it was for our guys either. We executed against the zone. We got good shots. Had a couple, offensive rebound, drop-off passes that we just bobbled around the rim, but we actually did a good job executing. And missed some really good threes. There was no break in composure. There was no break in competitive spirit. There was no break in belief of whether or not we could win the game. I thought the guys, those last two plays, because they ran zone for 4.5 minutes. So those last two plays, to drop two plays, one versus man, one versus zone. They ended up running man both times for us to get that execution, get it to the right guy, create an advantage. Both times, really. We had an advantage. Austin was easily going to race that and create a 5-on-4 or a 4-on-3. So I thought that was huge from our guys. I'm so proud of this group right now. Honestly, it's from where we were like 3 weeks ago, where we're discombobulated and guys are missing training camp and guys are modified participants. We're starting to come together, and I've asked a lot of these guys, and I'm asking a lot of them while we're undermanned, and they are delivering. They're delivering. They earned this victory.
Clearly, they were paying a lot of attention to Austin, and he ends up with a career-high tying 16 assists. But for him to, I think he's basically split the double and is able to still score through traffic. Like, what is that moment to peak it? But what does it say about his whole game?
Yeah, that guy is gonna show up in the big moments. It's not surprised. He's done that many times in his career. He's done that many times since I've been his coach. Feel very comfortable with him making decisions at late game. This is just the reality of how we have to play. The reality is we are not a free-flowing motion, get the ball across half court in 3 seconds. We try to look for opportunities to do that. That's just not who we are. We're a slower team. And he's played in very fast-paced environments where, you know, he doesn't go 5 possessions without touching the ball. The reality is guys like him, guys like Gabe, guys like Rui, it's a bit of an adjustment with our personnel and you know, Luka, LeBron, AR, those guys are going to have the ball in their hands and they're going to be our advantage creators. And those guys have to stay shot ready. Regardless of, I've missed 5 in a row, I've missed 6 in a row. If we go through the process of creating a good shot, you got to take that shot. There was one in the zone where I can't remember who the second guy was. We created 2 good looks against the zone. We passed them both down. I think that was one of our bad possessions against the zone. Ended up in a turnover.
JJ, 51 on Sunday, 41 on Monday. These numbers tonight. You guys are going to get Luka. You're going to get LeBron back. But what does this stretch from Austin do for him as this group gets whole?
To me, he's established himself as a bad dude. Like he did that last year. He thought, you know, I think league wide he was viewed as a really good player. And maybe some people viewed him, whatever, what tier he is, I don't know. I don't care about that. But last year, I think he established himself as a bad dude. You know, a bad. Again, I can't use certain words, but this is kind of who he is. He had that stretch, you know, for 3.5 months of the regular season last year, whatever it is, where he's 22, 7, and 6, or whatever the numbers were. But he's done it. For me, I think the big thing is he's established himself as like the leader. You know, he's one of the leaders or the leader on the court, and that's big time. That's what we want. That's what we need from him.